All right, let's talk about Bryce Young. I mean, it was, not a good day. I mean, the numbers are terrible. The numbers are absolutely terrible. Let's talk about the game itself, though. You know me, I'm not a box score stat watcher. I really get frustrated at certain people that don't watch the games and only look at the stats and say, oh my God, 34, or excuse me, 24 for 39, 173 yards, one touchdown, three picks. Must have been terrible. That being said, tape wasn't a lot better, but it was, I guess, better by Bryce Young standards. This was a tough situation to be in. Like, a play like this is just exactly the rough situation that he's been in and really why he's failed so far. I mean, why he's, people are calling him a bust. The main reason why, though, is outside of his control. Guys aren't getting open. This play is a 3rd down and 9. You have a receiver who's running a deep route. The goal is that kind of past the corner who he's going up against. Hopefully you can get open. As you see, Bryce Young takes the snap. He looks in that direction, and I mean, it's not open, right? Like, this is not a throw that he can make. He just can't make it. So what do you do at this point? Your first read isn't open. Well, the issue is that there's pressure. So it's not like you can just get to your next read. Watch Bryce Young actually do a good job of somehow surviving that pressure. But at this point, when you're almost facing backwards on a 3rd down and 9 in your own end zone, this is about as disastrous of a situation as you can be put in for a young quarterback. Young is going to flip this ball to his halfback, makes the right play. I mean, again, if I'm a PFF grader on this play, I am, saying good play, +1 or whatever, right? Like, that's how I view this. At the same time, though, it's now 4th down and 9, and you have to punt, and that's one completion for 0 yards, which greatly brings down the numbers. And this is just happening so much. This play is just hilarious, where it's going to be a 1st down and 10 situation. The Colts are going to be in zone coverage. Watch what happens. Young is going to take the snap. He looks down the field, and all of a sudden, I mean, look, there's just a sea of Colts players. It looks like a couch is getting thrown at him or something. Like, there's so many players here in this situation trying to get to Young. He didn't love what he saw down the field, so he hasn't gotten rid of the football at this point. And now, I mean, he is in trouble. Watch him, get sacked by, the first of the 3 Colts players who was able to get there. I mean, again, people will watch these plays and then say, oh, you know what Bryce Young's issue is? He's not tall enough. Like, no, like, clearly that's not the issue. Clearly the issue is that guys aren't getting open and you can't block for him. I'm not saying that he isn't also making mistakes, because he is, just that he's been put in an awful situation. Like, we can talk about the mistakes. I mean, he threw 2 pick sixes in this game. That's bad. Like, let's first look at the first pick 6, where it's going to be a zone coverage play the Colts are in. Worth mentioning the situation, 31 seconds left. It's an end-of-half situation, and still a ball game at this point. You're only down 10 points. So if you can get in field goal range, you're down just 1 score. You feel pretty good about that. The concept itself, hopefully you can get someone open underneath, try to gain some yards, and maybe even get out of bounds. You do have 2 timeouts left, but, still, you have to pay attention to that. If you can get out of bounds, it's a good thing. Watch as Young takes the snap. He is going to look down the field, and again, you see that this is not a disastrous decision to make, I would say. Like, you can make this throw. I probably would advise against it, to be honest, but kind of like I said, there's not a lot of throws that Bryce Young has that are, like, smart throws to make, right? You don't get the easy decisions for Bryce Young, so you kind of have to make these tough calls. I'm fine with him making this. I'm fine with a young player playing a bit too aggressive here, trying to make this throw. But if you're going to make it, you have to throw a line drive, and you have to get it outside the numbers. But Bryce Young doesn't put his, really feet into it at all, and ends up throwing it way closer towards the middle of the field than he should have, and does not put much mustard on it whatsoever, and it gets intercepted, actually gets returned for a touchdown on that play. I mean, again, it feels like the pressure was part of what disrupted him, but it wasn't brutal pressure either. And to be honest, I do wonder if this is just a bit of a learning curve. Again, guys are young players, and this is something that you do see a lot of young players struggle with, is like just dealing with having to throw the ball when you don't get a clean pocket every play, or on a lot of plays, right? In college, you get more clean pockets than you do at the NFL level, so you just have to, deal with more frustration like, Young is dealing with. That being said, there's no getting around it. This is a bad play. Like, this is for sure a bad play. You just hope that these are the plays that can fix themselves. Like, the other pick 6 was honestly a lot of the same. And again, a ball game here, right? I mean, you're down, you're trailing, but you have a shot here. You're basically in field goal range. They're going to run a halfback screen to try and make sure that they're for sure in field goal range. And, if you don't get the first down, at least make it a third down and manageable. Down 10 points. So, okay, down 10 in the fourth quarter. It's not exactly a barn burner, but you're about to make it a one-score game with, still plenty of time left in the fourth quarter. It's a game here. Right when this play begins, it's a little bit clunky. Halfback takes a little bit longer to get, to where he needs to be. 100%. And I don't know if Bryce Young just it's possible he was just throwing it to where he thought the halfback would be, but you do have to read the play. There is pressure. You see, again, kind of wonky throwing motion due to the pressure, and he just way overthrows it, and it's intercepted. And it wasn't bad pressure. It was not the pressure to the point where you should be messing up your throw. I mean, you're going to have that kind of pressure on most plays in the NFL. You have to deal with, being able to make those throws happen. It's just a complete whiff. So, on one hand, it's kind of why I'm conflicted with Bryce Young. Because on one hand, it's a lot of this stuff isn't his fault. If he played a good game in this one, he would have had a bad box score. That's just how it works. At the same time, though, it's there are these mistakes as well. And again, it's unfortunate for him. He's going to get compared to CJ Stroud. And he shouldn't be compared to CJ Stroud. I mean, I get it, right? Because a lot of people had CJ Stroud as the number one quarterback in this draft class. One of the few times one of my quarterback takes looks good because I had him as number one as well. But there's obviously a lot of revisionist history. Most people still did have Bryce Young as the number one quarterback in that situation. Most people thought he was the best quarterback to be taken. Actually, I think people forget, if you look at the consensus big board, CJ Stroud wasn't even number 2 on the board. Will Anderson was actually number 2 on the consensus big board. Stroud was number 3. So that's worth noting, I think. But in general, it's okay, CJ Stroud's been awesome. You can't do anything about that, right? Okay, sure, in hindsight, maybe you would have liked to make that move. But that doesn't mean that Bryce Young can't also be great, right? It's the same thing with the Tua and Herbert thing. Tua came into the league and looked not very good as a rookie. Herbert came into the league and looked awesome as a rookie. It's literally the exact same situation. The Dolphins didn't worry about Herbert. They made sure that they did their best to develop Tua, and it worked out. He's been great for them. That's what you have to do if you're Carolina. Don't worry about Stroud. Do what you can to develop Young. And I want to end this on a positive just because, I don't know, I feel a little bad for how much criticism he's getting, so I do want to end it on a positive. Going over here, I mean, there are positives. One of the things that I've been really impressed with is his rushing ability. It's going to be a 3rd down and 3, zone coverage on this play. Okay, you're in trouble here. Down 17 in the fourth quarter. I get it. Watch how Bryce Young takes the snap and get this, doesn't love what he sees, so he steps up. Actually, might have been a throw on that one. That one might be on Young. And again, some of this does come down to Young as well. I made a whole film study talking about how some of these, he does have to get the ball out of his hands on some of these throws. That's a fair criticism. But no, ending it on a positive, focus on the positive. You see multiple Colts players are going to run up and try to make a tackle before he gets to the first down marker. But watch him make a nice move, gets past the first down marker. He's been very good at that this season. And that is, that's something, right? There's something to build off of here. Definitely for Bryce Young, it's been a disappointment. There's no getting around it. It's been a disappointment. And even with the box score, I think maybe not being, the box score is probably worse than how his tape looked. His tape still isn't good. It just isn't. But okay, so that's what you deal with. He's not having a great rookie season. Well, what do? You get him out of this bad situation. You figure out a way to get receiving help. You do what the Dolphins did. Draft Jalen Waddle and trade for Tyreek Hill, right? You go out and you add receiving talent. That's what Bryce Young needs right now. He needs receivers. He needs guys to throw to. He's waiting for guys to get Alabama open. Well, maybe get a player or two who can get, if not Alabama open, at least more open and make things easier for him. The number one predictor of success when you go into the NFL is situation you're drafted into from the quarterback position. That's, it's still not a great predictor of success, but that's the best predictor of success. If you're put in a good situation to succeed, you're more likely to succeed. I know, crazy concept. You got to get the situation better because as of right now, we're not learning much watching him, flounder with a bad football team. That's kind of how I view it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.